So we are here today with A.M. Rycroft, who has decided that since the weather in both her place and my place is dreary, that creatures of darkness are the way to go. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're working on at the moment, and then we can get into your other stuff later.
Okay. Well, I'm a dark fantasy writer. I have technically 2 series, and I say 2 series because I have The Fall of Kingdoms, which is out right now, and then I have another series which has been called the Cathel series in the past. It's currently not available to buy because I've taken it down for some revisions.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, I have those 2 series out there, and what I'm working on right now really is getting the Cathel series back up and out there. So.
Okay, so now you have to tell us all about this series. And Cathel, that's a wonderful word.
Yeah, thank you. So the Cathel series, when I decided to take it down for some revisions, there were 4 books out there. It follows a sellsword by the name of Erin Ravane. She's kind of a haunted person when we come into that first book. She is being haunted by the voice of her father.
Literally haunted.
Yeah, literally haunted.
Like, okay then. Cool.
Yeah, literally haunted. Her father passed away about a year or so before we meet her in that first book. And he has come back to try to get her to finish the quest that he started when he was a young man for this legendary sword. Yeah. So she needs to find this sword in the hopes that he'll finally leave her alone. And it kind of kicks off from there.
Jeez, Dad, go away.
Right, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And there is a little bit of a twist with his ghost, so I don't want to spoil that, but
ooh, twists.
Yeah.
Yes. And so 4 books for that series.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Are there plans for more once you get the revisions going?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm actually probably about a third of the way through the plot for book 5. So, yeah.
Well, cool.
Yes, yeah. That one, I have planned, like I said, I'm about a third of the way through the plot for book 5, and then the sketches for books 6 and 7 and possibly 8. So, nice long series right there.
Yeah. Ooh, how very exciting. And also, I feel badly for your characters because I know dark fantasy and it doesn't always end well for them.
That is true, yeah.
Such is the way it should be.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I hate torturing my characters, but at the same time, you kind of love it. Yeah.
I never actually got into the hating the torturing my characters bit. I just stuck with the I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always fun. Okay, so let's talk about your other series.
The Fall of Kingdoms. So right now, Corruption of Honor is the first book. What I ended up doing with that book is I took kind of a Lord of the Rings approach and broke it into 3 parts. But Corruption of Honor was supposed to be 1 book originally, and but right now there's parts 1 through 3 out. Yeah. All 3 of those parts are out, and probably in the next couple of months, I'm actually going to release a single volume with all 3 parts. Yeah, but that series has a lot more political intrigue in it than the Cathel series does. So when we come into Corruption of Honor, we are mainly following Sean Grayson. Now, Sean Grayson is technically what is called a highborn.
Okay.
So it's a very class-based society in the 10 Kingdoms. So in Riverend, her particular kingdom, you have highborns, midborns, and lowborns. Her father was a midborn until the king elevated him to a position that's normally held by nobles.
Right.
So that technically made her a noble as well.
Okay.
She's never really fit into either of those categories. So she's definitely right. She's definitely that outcast sort. And she's currently trying to earn her knight's sword. Her dream has always been to become a knight of Riverend. But the highborns in the kingdom have really always hated her family. And yeah. And they've been trying pretty much her whole life to find a way to really sink her and her family. And when we come into Corruption of Honor, they're very close to actually doing that. So she is trying to keep her place in the knight's service and find a way to get to the end of her training. And on the verge of her losing everything, the kingdom is attacked by one of the other kingdoms in the realm. Yeah.
Oops.
Yes.
Oops.
Yeah.
We need you, but all of a sudden we need you.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So the king actually orders her and one of her friends, a fellow knight, to get his daughter Sarah out of the kingdom and to safe haven halfway across the realm. Not exactly the easiest task.
No?
Yeah.
Oh boy, this will be very fun.
Yes.
Okay. So the political intrigue here, how is that from writing your Sellsword series, which is probably more of a quest than a true let's move chess pieces around and cause trouble type of thing?
Yeah, it definitely it's definitely a change. When I started writing the Fall of Kingdoms series, I didn't really have any sense of how complicated it was going to be. You know, and it kind of ballooned from that first book. So we basically have a war going on across the entire realm by the end of Corruption of Honor. And there's a question as to who is going to have control of not only the Kingdom of Riverend, because you know there's a shakeup with the royal family, but also the realm itself. You know, you have the one force, which is the Mordwellians. They're basically the bad guys in this series, and they are they've always been more the shunned kingdom in the realm because they were responsible for starting the civil war that brought down the old empire.
Oops.
Yeah. So they are tired of being, you know, the redheaded stepchild off in the corner, and they're essentially trying to take over the realm. So,
well, I mean, being ostracized, not liked all that much is a great excuse for taking over the whole realm. I mean,
exactly. You know, what better way to make people like you than take everything over?
Yeah. I think they need to hire some new strategists there.
Yeah, probably a couple PR people. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, what fun. Okay, so you've got 3 parts out, 1 volume. How many volumes are you going to have?
Right now I have the plots for at least 3 to 4 books, possibly 5.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so you're going to be busy for, just a little while.
Just a bit, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. How complicated is your plotting method?
You know, it hasn't been that complicated with the Cathel series, but with the Fall of Kingdoms, extremely complicated, to the point that, you know, I never used to really take notes. Everything was just in my head. So, you know, God forbid if I get hit by a bus, because it's just all gone. But with the Fall of Kingdoms, I've actually had to write stuff down, and I have a whole collection of notes about you know, the royal family of Riverend, all of the different high houses and how they're connected. And then, you know, some of Riverend's laws, because that comes into play as well.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, because magic has actually been outlawed in Riverend since the end of the war. So
you've got a whole nother group of people that are kind of annoyed at things.
Yes, yeah.
Wow. Wow. These poor kingdoms are kind of separate there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you backed them into a corner. Good fun. Good fun.
Right.
So how is the revision process for your Cathel series going? Because revisions.
Yeah, revisions. It's going pretty well now. What I decided to do with the first book, which is called Into the Darkness, I decided to actually backtrack a little bit from where it originally started, because, you know, it's been well received in the past, but there is one criticism that does tend to come up a lot, and that is that people don't feel like they have a good grasp of who Aaron is as a character. And I realized in looking at the original first chapter, we kind of drop in the middle of her story, and we might actually need to back up a little bit to get some of those backstory elements in without actually doing some kind of like a prologue or something like that.
Right.
So I have a new first chapter, and, you know, once I have that, it goes pretty quickly. So I would say
major changes except for this addition there.
Yeah, no real major changes to the story as a whole. I didn't want to change the story too much, but I did want to, you know, nobody wants to drown in you know, those info dumps, you know, as you know, Bob.
Yeah, the sky was blue on Tuesdays.
Yes.
Only on Tuesdays.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah. So yeah, no major changes, aside from probably a couple, you know, that new first chapter and probably 2 or 3 other new chapters, and then it's going to pick up, you know, from where it left off.
Okay.
But I do plan to touch the rest of the book, because, you know, when it was originally published 4 years ago, people preferred reading one kind of fantasy.
Right.
And things have changed a little bit, so yeah.
So many niche genres out there, and it's great.
Yes, yeah. So I want to modernize it just a little bit and just kind of touch it up. But I don't anticipate it taking the next year. I'm hoping to actually have it done within the next 4 months.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So are you going to do, like, new cover and all of that fun stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. That'll be awesome. I'm super excited and looking forward to this.
Cool.
What fun.
Yeah.
So of this whole entire process, the writing process, from idea in the brain while you're brushing your teeth and can do nothing about it, to money in the bank, what's your least favorite part?
My least favorite part? I would have to say editing. Yeah. You know, it's one of those things where you have gone through it so many times that words cease to have meaning.
Oh, and yes, I've done that so many times.
Yeah, it's like What is the?
No, T-E-H. That's how you spell it, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, wait.
Yeah, that doesn't look right. T-E-H-E. Nope. Okay. Yeah, it ceases to have meaning, and you don't want to read that story one more time, and then you start saying, is this book even good? Does anybody even care?
Oh no. That's
Yeah.
when you reach the point where you should send it off to somebody else.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Editors are invaluable.
Yes. Yeah. You know, the promotion and marketing side of it is never my most fun, but now that I'm at a point where I can have other people work on that marketing side of it, and I can just do podcasts like these, it's a lot nicer. Yeah.
Yes, that's always a useful thing. Get other people who know what they're doing to do the things that you don't know what you're doing about.
Yeah.
No, that didn't come out in a complete sentence.
I got what you meant.
Yeah. Hire the people.
Yes. Yeah. Hire the people to do, those things that you're not really that good at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I'm at the point where, I used to do a lot of my own covers because I actually went to art school. I didn't get my degree, much to the annoyance of my family.
Just because people think you need a college degree doesn't mean you need a college degree.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get a degree at art school, but I did get the degree in writing. So.
Well, I mean, obviously.
I still have the paper that says that I graduated from someplace,
It's that piece of paper. Apparently, it matters a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for like jobs and things. I don't know why.
Weird. It's really weird because I mean, I didn't learn anything about what I'm doing in my degree.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, to be fair, I didn't get a writing degree like you did, which I have to say is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know. Self-publishing world seems to be more of a you figure it out as you go.
Yeah, it definitely is. Fortunately now there are a lot more resources for people to consult and people to help out along the way than when I got started with it.
Yeah.
It was a lot of trial and error.
Yeah. When did you start?
I started, actually it's almost 5 years now.
Wow. Okay. It's amazing to think things have changed so much.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think I did it very well when I came out of the gate. Here and there you get somebody who actually knew what they were doing, but
I think that might be time travel involved. Yeah.
That is a definite possibility.
Mm-hmm. Because as far as I can tell, no one knows what they're doing right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but yeah, I actually got started self-publishing after I was laid off from, I had a technical writing job for about 10 years, just long enough for it to suck the life out of me. Yeah. So after that, I had trouble getting a new technical writing job because that field, there's a lot of ebb and flow.
Yeah, well, and you get things like AI now writing all of your technical manuals.
Yes. Yeah.
Without grammar.
Yeah. So I figured I never really liked that job anyways. So, and I had a book that was finished. So why don't I just go the publishing route? And
go for it.
Yeah.
And here you are.
Here I am.
Oh. Such is the way of things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very cool. So moving a little bit sideways because we can. In your political intrigue world of dark fantasy, is there an author out there whose abilities to write such things you would like to steal?
Someone whose abilities I would like to steal. Honestly, I wish that I could have Joe Abercrombie's. His ability with the blade itself. I look at the chapter with Inquisitor Glocta when he's first introduced. We see him trying to get down a set of stairs.
Right.
And for some reason, he was able to make that the most engaging chapter I've read in a long time. And who would have thought that? The book starts with Logan Ninefingers running for his life, but and that's engaging in itself. But then on the flip side, you have this more or less boring character just trying to manage a set of stairs.
Yeah.
And it's just such a wonderful introduction that, not every author can do that.
No.
And if I could just have a little bit of that in my writing, that would be awesome.
So the ability to introduce characters. Interesting. Huh. That one's not one I usually hear. Usually it's, I wish I had their ability to, do plot or battle scenes, or I just want to steal all of Stephen King, because that's a thing I've heard a lot. So yeah, cool. Characters are fun.
Yeah.
Okay. And as for your characters, who's your favorite villain?
Who's my favorite villain?
I love a good villain. I mean, it's dark fantasy, so they're all kind of, but...
Yeah, that's a good question. I would have to say that the character of Darcy Krieger, who we don't see until the second book in The Fall of Kingdoms. Well, I take that back. She does have kind of a cameo at the end of Corruption of Honor. But she is part of the reason that Sean it might lose her place in the Knight Service at the beginning of the book. So she's
causing trouble off sea. Good for her.
Yeah. So she's the daughter of the High Duke in the kingdom, and born with a silver spoon in her mouth kind of character. But she actually is kind of evil. And we get that sense by the end of the book that she might be damaged in some way. And my spouse was saying to me the other day that she liked the fact that Darcy is one of those villains who just goes for it. There's a lot of male villains out there that they murder and torture and everything else, but you don't have a lot of female villains who do the same thing and enjoy it. But that defines Darcy, and she just embraces her crazy.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I love a good villain.
Yeah.
So much. It's fantastic. Ooh. Villains. Okay, sorry. I'm fangirling a moment. You have to... I mean, I know I'm supposed to love your hero and your heroine and all of that stuff, but I'm sorry, I'm a villain girl.
Hey, some people just are,
It probably doesn't say a whole lot about my brain, but, oh well. That's why I read dark fantasy.
Exactly. Sometimes it's nice to side with the character that does all the things that you kind of wish you could do. There's always that one person that you would like to hang up by their toes, but that's generally frowned on in our society.
Just a touch.
Yeah.
Something about, the whole mame and toe hanging thing that people are not fond of.
Yeah. So, sometimes it's nice to see that character who does those things that in your head you kind of wish you could do, but know that you probably shouldn't.
It's a good thing we're writers.
Yes.
And not something else.
Yeah. We have the the hang up of conscience and empathy and whatnot, but our characters don't have to.
Nope. And it's great fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So for writery types trying to get into your genre or area of expertise, are there traps that they should avoid?
Traps to avoid. Too much backstory. Yeah.
It's always a good one.
Yeah. I was talking with a writer the other day who she was having trouble because her editor told her that she had too much backstory, and when I asked her, what are we talking about in terms of too much backstory? And she said, well, I don't think it's that much. I have no more than a paragraph per chapter. And I said, that's probably too much. You might want to add some chapters at the beginning where you backtrack a little bit rather than info dumping all over people.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen instances where people have like a short paragraph here and there, where they introduce something that's, well, I would call it backstory, but it's not introduced in the way that backstory is normally introduced in. And that's always interesting. If you, get around that with dialogue or character interaction or something.
Exactly. Yeah, if you can bring it in some way that doesn't feel like you just stepped into a history book.
Right.
Either through dialogue or a reflection by a character, in some way that makes sense for the context of that chapter.
Right.
I think that's totally fine, but probably backstory in every single chapter, that's probably too much.
A little much. I mean, if you're getting to the point where, your people are storming the villain's mountain's lair or something, they should probably not be ruminating on the past. They should be a little bit worried about the giant lava monster right in front of them.
Exactly. The one thing that drives me crazy about Kings of the Wild, which is an excellent book, toward the beginning, Clay Cooper keeps reflecting on things, and for whatever reason, Nicholas Eames felt like it was a good idea, and his editors for that matter, thought it was a good idea to have in the text, and there Clay went daydreaming again, and now he comes back to what was happening in front of him.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those where it's, I'm daydreaming and it's been like 3 pages, but then I realized that things were happening and I should maybe pay attention to them. And it's only been like 2 seconds, but things were still happening and I should, but 3 pages of but I don't understand.
Right. Yeah.
Always fun. Of course, turning good backstory into dialogue or interactions is equally difficult. So, oh well, we'll have to have those, what do they call it, the companion guides, where you tell all of the history to your story, and no one cares, and no one reads it except for you and, like, the diehard fans.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
Yeah, my spouse has read every single appendix that Tolkien ever put out for Lord of the Rings.
To be fair, I have too. Part of that is because I'm a linguist, and so language nerd to the extreme. And so when he goes and talks about, oh yes, here's the language of the dwarves and here's the language of the elves, I'm like, yes. So I actually have a reason for it. It's not just I'm a fangirl, although I totally am. But, you know.
Maybe it is a linguist thing because she actually has a degree in linguistics as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it could be a language thing, but
it's
also that fangirl thing. Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, in the writing world, if you're a linguist, Tolkien is the guy, kind of, mostly. Yeah, there are a couple of, modern contemporary types. The, what is it, David Peterson? I don't remember his last name. I think it's Peterson, but I could be wrong about that. Who did all of the languages for the Game of Thrones television series.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got a whole book talking about, okay, I did this, and that is far too interesting. I've never seen the television series, and I had to stop reading the books because I was distracted by life and other things. But you talk about the language, and I'm like, yep,
Yeah.
So, oh well.
Yeah.
Which then brings me to the question, what does that word mean for your other series?
Cathel.
Oh, Cathel.
Cathel is actually the name of the region where it takes place. Yeah. When I put out that series, I could not come up with another name, so I just went, it's the Cathel series.
That'll work. I mean,
yeah.
Do you have a map?
I do have a map.
Maps are exciting.
Yes.
I've read a couple fantasy novels where people go all over the place and there's no map.
Yeah. Yeah. The Blade itself is like that. There is no map in the First Law series, and there's no map for Mike Cole's The Armored Saint either, and in both cases we really could use a map.
I've read one book series where you needed a map, but it made sense that you didn't have a map.
Okay.
So, but that's like extremely unusual. So, yeah. Hooray for maps. That's exciting.
Yes. Yeah. I don't have my maps in the ebooks though, because they never translate well in electronic form.
No.
So, unfortunately, you have to get the print books.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
Not paper.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, for book people, I'm not sure it matters.
Yeah.
Paper. Some people do care a lot about whether or not it's paperback or hardback or ebook.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. I'll read anything.
Yeah. I'm much more of a paperback or hardback person than I am an ebook person.
Mm-hmm.
But I've gotten a lot of ebooks out of the library lately because, mostly because I don't feel like going to the library. You know, I'm in the middle of so many things. But if I want a new book to read, I've got to go the ebook route, through the library. Mm-hmm. Which, if anybody out there is looking for free books to read, go to your library. You can download all kinds of books, onto your e-reader, and away you go.
Wonderful thing, libraries. You wish someone would have invented them sooner, but hold on, wait a second. They did?
Yeah. A lot of people don't seem to know that you can get ebooks and audiobooks from most libraries, but you can.
Mm-hmm. It's very exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of course, then walking in and inhaling the book smell, turns out it's actually mold in the glue for the binding for the older books. Should probably not be inhaling it, but I don't care.
Yeah, well, it's like going into a bookstore. Barnes & Noble, you've got paper plus coffee. Best smell in the world. More libraries should have coffee shops in them. People would go.
One that has a coffee shop.
The University of Pittsburgh has a coffee shop in Hillman Library, and let me tell you, when they put that coffee shop in, it got way busier in that library because it's like books and coffee, they just go hand in hand. Yeah.
Marketing techniques 101. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, so much fun. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add that is writing related or not writing related? Because why not?
Oh, well, I don't know. I guess just stay tuned for the next books that I had put out there, and hopefully there's something that appeals to your fantasy sensibilities.
Well, I mean, given how many awesome fantasy books are out there in all of the various niche genres that I am really bad at identifying because genres have changed since high school English.
Mm-hmm. I'm still trying to figure out what the difference is between dark fantasy and grimdark.
Gosh, I looked it up and I forgot what it was. It was like a super subtle thing, and
It is, yeah, it is a really subtle thing, and some people will say, oh, well, there's more blood and gore in grimdark than there is in dark fantasy. But that's not really true.
That's always the case. And then I've read grimdark stuff that isn't fantasy.
Right. Yeah.
Which confuses me equally. And yeah, okay. Guess who needs to go look at all the genres again?
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
I will say that the one thing you will never see me do is put out a Noble Bright novel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Noble Bright, not really my cup of tea. So.
Well, I mean, you are writing on the other side of that coin there.
Yes. I have seen some people try to go over to the light side. And I don't know how you can do that.
My only answer is dissociative identity disorder.
That's probable. Yeah.
I mean, us writers are also, skirting that line of insanity anyways, so.
True.
Maybe. I have no idea.
Maybe it's split writer personality disorder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll work on that. Maybe that's why we have conversations with ourselves.
Maybe.
Although, to be fair, I actually have conversations with my cat. She gives me responses in the forms of sardonic looks. It's very helpful.
Well, whatever sounding board works for you.
So much fun. It has been absolutely super awesome to talk with you. I'm excited about all of your books.
Thank you.
It's going to be great fun to go see what world trouble-causing characters you have invented, and also villains, because
villains can't have the hero without the villain.
Well, I mean, you can, if the whole world is sort of conspiring against them.
True.
But wouldn't that make the universe the villain? Ooh.
Technically. Now there's a story.
I mean, I did write, and one of my series I'll put out, not this year, but next year, a story about the PR agent for Death, who Death happens to be married to Life.
Okay.
Life is not a nice person.
Okay.
She's like super mean and cruel and unfair and enjoys all of the mayhem and chaos, whereas Death is like really placid. Super calm. Yeah, I'm not sure if they're villains, but they're definitely fun to write. Nice.
Yeah, let me know when that's out, because that sounds like a really interesting story.
It's troublesome. It's fun. It's not I don't know what I would describe it as. Just huge amounts of fun. Good. Well, have a fantastic day.
Yeah, you too.
Alrighty, well, I will let you go back to doing all of your fantastic revising and drinking of coffee and reading of books.
Definitely, yeah.